Okay. What would you describe as American?
Well, I couldn't say that they're different from us. There is that they were born down here, and that's why they're Americans. But I don't see any difference besides them and Mexico. I mean Mexico.
Other than location, you don't see a difference?
No, I don't think so.
At what point did you believe you were Mexican?
Oh. I'm proud to be a Mexican. I mean, that's a race, Mexican. So I guess that's what it is, that we're proud that we're Mexicans.
Okay, do you believe, at what point did you believe you were American?
I don't believe I'm an American. I live in America, but I still say I'm a Mexican. I mean, I cannot say I'm an American because I was not born here.
So American is just another label.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would you consider a Mexican problem?
That they don't, I mean, that they don't have a way, hardly a way to make a living.
That's
Because,
true.
I mean, they're not, nowadays they are, I mean, they're getting an education. But before, like when my daddy was growing up, he didn't go to school.
What did you do?
He worked.
And what where?
Where, over there in Mexico, where he was born, Arandas, Jalisco. That's where he was working to make a living, but they didn't send him to school. I don't think school was important to their parents. And nowadays, I mean, school is important for our kids. I mean, that's the way I thought when I had my kids. That I would tell my husband, he would get upset with them and he would say, I'm not going to send them anymore to school. And I would tell him, send them at least for them to graduate from high school. From then on, it's their, I mean, whatever they think to do. It's not going to be a problem anymore. Because you can tell them, well, you graduated from school, that's the best I could do. But you didn't want to go to college. I mean, he wouldn't tell him to go to college because he didn't know any better.
That's true.
Okay, he would just think about working, but he was better. He thought about it better than my daddy because my daddy wanted us to go to work. See, none of us graduated from high school. None of them, not even Raul, Ernest, none of them. Because he would get them out of school and take them out there up north to work. That's all he knew. So that's the way we are, how we are now.
Okay. What would you consider an American problem?
Well, an American problem is that a lot of people that are Americans don't like the Mexicans. See,
In what ways have you seen it?
Huh?
In what ways have you seen discrimination?
Well, I've heard, I haven't seen it, but if you go to it used to be that when you would go up north and you would go into a place that they didn't want Mexicans, they would run them away. They didn't want them in there. So that's how I think. I mean, they didn't. And still, they say there's places where they don't like Mexicans at all. So that's not good.
What would you describe as Mexican?
Okay. What I consider to be Mexican, I guess your stereotype. You know, somebody who is, and this is a stereotype when I think of Mexican, like me as far as skin complexion, dark hair, speaks Spanish, born in Mexico, embraces the culture, It could be celebrating your traditional Christmas posadas, your, you know, being in the Catholic religion. That's another thing I feel that's part of the Mexican culture, even though I know it's not right
Okay.
now.
What would you describe as American?
As American, and when I think of American, I want to say I think of it more multicultural, because I think of American as white. I think of America as black. I think of America as Asian. I think of America as, again, as Mexican as well, because there's so much. It's so multicultural that's when I think of America or American. That's what I think.
Okay. At what point did you believe you were Mexican?
I think it came to a harsh reality to me when I was about 5 years old. I lived in Illinois. It was an exclusive, not exclusive, but mainly white community. Unlike here in the Valley where everyone's mostly Hispanic. I was the only Hispanic in my class. And it did not come to me that I was different until I was told I was different. And that's when it came to me that I was Mexican.
Okay.
My skin color was different. My hair color was different. I spoke differently. You know, even though I did speak English, I didn't speak it correctly. You know, of course, because I had a Spanish-speaking mother. And I think that's when it came to me that I was different. And I would always be different because of such.
At what point did you believe you were an American?
At what point did I believe I was American? It's kind of hard because I think I always knew I was American. Because I was born here. I was born in the U.S. I was American. And when I go to Mexico, when I've gone to Mexico and visit, it's, yes, you are Mexican heritage, but you have assimilated so much to the American culture that you're not truly Mexican. And you can see that even when I speak and when I go to Mexico, I don't speak it correctly, and sometimes they have to correct me. When I visit family, when we've gone to Celaya.
You guys.
What time did I speak I was American? You know, and going to college when I took Mexican-American classes, I think I learned to embrace both cultures. You know.
What would you consider an American problem?
What would I consider an American problem? Other than our current president? He's a problem. What would I consider American? Right now, I would consider an American problem being a mom and being a mother who has 3 kids that are going to go to college, or 1 is already in college, 2 more on the way. I think colleges have become so expensive, ridiculously expensive. You know, there are some students that will get some type of financial assistance, and there's some that won't. And I think kids graduating with $50,000, $100,000, $150,000 loans, you know, is ridiculous. And then to pay that off and just to get an education that's probably going to pay them $50,000 or $60,000 a year. You know, I think there has to be something different to our educational system, especially the higher level, to where, and I think the government can do this, and they're doing it in some states where they're paying for their education. So how is it that they're getting assisted and it hasn't become a nationwide situation, you know? I think that would be our higher education. It's getting so expensive for students to get a higher education rest.
What will you identify as, one or both? And what have you experienced to make you think
What
that?
would I identify as what?
Would you identify as American, Mexican, or both?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I will always consider myself both. Because I don't think I'll ever be truly American other than my birth certificate, because I think there's always going to be some type of discrimination. We don't see it as much here. We'll probably see reverse discrimination down here in the Valley. But if we were to go up toward northern state, predominantly white, you will feel it. And I say you will because I have felt it. I have dealt with it. So therefore, I know I'm never going to be fully American. And I don't think I'll ever be fully Mexican because I was born in America. I have a lot of the American culture within me. And although I do have some Mexican culture, I do speak some of the language, I do embrace some of the traditions, you know. So I think I'm a little bit of both. I don't think I'm one or the other.
What would you describe as Mexican? Like, what are their traits?
Being Hispanic, living in Mexico, being able to speak Spanish and stuff.
Okay. What are American traits?
We live in the U.S., probably more diverse than diverse, like another race. White, maybe some more majority than others. Another race.
At what point did you believe you were Mexican?
We have our grandparents. They were how they came here, what they did to get here.
But does that make you Mexican?
In a sense, it does make us Mexican.
Okay.
Okay.
At what point did you believe you were an American?
Being in this country, being raised in it, going to a school, an American school, learning with other students.
What would you consider a Mexican problem?
I guess there's a lot of problems.
Okay,
That's everywhere. You know.
Give some examples.
It's like any other problem that the U.S. faces. Murder, rape, all drug-related stuff. But yeah, it's more like that. Those problems is just like any other.
Okay, what would you consider an American problem?
Similar thing.
Okay. What would you identify as, either Mexican or American, and what have you experienced to make you think that?
Well, see the question?
What do you identify as, Mexican or American? Or both?
What would I identify as Mexican and American?
Would you identify as a Mexican, an American, or both?
Either one.
Oh, which
Both.
one? Both. Okay, why?
Family. Like I said earlier, it's more like the way we were raised, the way we view things.
Okay, so you're saying you were born Mexican through family, but you were raised American.
Yeah, if that's the way you see it, then yeah. In a sense.
Would you consider one to be less than the other?
No.
Why?
Kind of makes up the identity, our cultural identity, and we should try to at least embrace it once in a while.
Okay.